Welcome to Worth Reviewing, and this is a car you don't normally see anymore. And if you do, it will most likely be the last, because this car is rare. We're talking Focus RS 500 rare. It's vibrant, exhilarating, and it looks absolutely stunning. This is the Ford Racing Puma.
Now, before it became a Racing Puma, they all came out the factory as an ordinary Puma. And if a customer wanted the Racing Puma, the cars were then transported from Cologne in Germany, where they were all built, to Tickford in the UK, where a team would produce an average of 20 conversions a week. And the designing of the car was developed in Boreham in Essex, where other Ford rally cars, including the RS200s, were all built. But with the Ford Racing Puma, it wasn't just a case of giving it bigger wheels and spraying it a different colour. It's a bit more involved than that.
Under the bonnet is the same 1.7 litre 16 valve Yamaha engine you'd find in a standard Puma, although Tickford have modified it slightly, giving it a different exhaust system, higher lift camshafts, a unique inlet manifold, and a modified ECU which increases the rev limit.
This meant the power was increased from 123 brake horsepower to 153 brake horsepower. Now, the original plan was to give it 160 brake horsepower, and Ford were going to call it the Puma ST160, but because they ran out of budget, it got a bit less power, and they renamed it as the Ford Racing Puma.
Still, it gets 119 foot-pounds of torque and will do 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds, and flat out, it will do 126 miles an hour.
As lovely as it sounds, there was a slight problem, because when these were on sale, they costed about £23,000, and at that time, you could have got an Integra Type R or an Impreza, which costed a lot less, came with more power, and had a choice of colours to choose from other than just blue. And because of that, not many people bought them. It got to the point where Ford ended up letting some of their managers use them as company cars, as they had trouble selling them. Imagine having a Ford Racing Puma as your company car. Happy days. You'd never want to give it back. They were also planning to make 1,000 of them, with 500 for the UK and the other 500 for Germany. But that never happened because Ford Germany didn't think they'd sell them.
So, for a car that didn't get built for Germany and didn't sell very well in the UK, what's it like to drive? Utterly brilliant.
I honestly can't believe how well this car drives. The steering feels so precise, and each time you chuck it round a corner, you get such a gratifying feeling. This Puma reminds me quite a lot of my very own car, which is a Fiesta Mark V, and that's because it's based on the same platform. It just feels like another layer of fun on top of a car I already love. It's just brilliant. Now, comparing this car to my Fiesta, which has the 1.25 litre engine in it, it has near enough twice the amount of power. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this car should have got at least 160 brake horsepower, and I can understand that. But at the same time, not once while I've been driving this car, I've ever thought it feels underpowered. I think if this car was pushing close to 200 brake horsepower, although it'll be a lot more exciting, but at the same time, it would somehow ruin the handling and take part of the fun away. Because quite often you can have more fun in a car with less power than you can in a car with more power. And the best part of this car is the noise. It makes such a raspy and peppy sound. And then whenever you lift your foot off the accelerator, a load of crackles and pops come out. And then a massive smile appears on your face. Honestly, I love it. When these were built in Tickford, quite a lot of changes were made as part of the conversion. These front wings were taken off and replaced with wider aluminium ones, along with a new front bumper and a splitter. It almost looks a bit like a hamster that's got about 10 grapes inside its mouth from the front. And because the car's a lot wider, some of the suspension and steering components like the drive shafts and wishbones had to be altered. It also got bigger 17-inch alloy wheels and uprated shocks and springs all round. And they were originally planning to put 6-pot calipers at the front, but because they were too big, they wouldn't fit in, so they got 4-pot calipers instead. And at the back, these wider rear quarter panels were welded on top of the standard ones, and like the front, it got a new rear bumper. The interior didn't get many changes, mainly due to the fact they ran out of budget, but it still got blue Alcantara on the main touch points and a set of Sparco bucket seats. And after all those changes were made, the conversion would cost you around £7,000, bearing in mind that was in the very late 90s, and a standard Puma would cost you around £16,000. And it's not like you can say to the salesperson, I'd like a stereo upgrade, bigger alloy wheels and privacy glass, and I'd like it to be painted in red. All 500 of these were painted in Ford Imperial Blue, and the only optional extra feature you can get was a limited slip differential, which costed around £200. That's it. So, is this car worth reviewing? Yes. You know what's such a massive shame about this car? Is that it just feels so underrated. Yes, it's not especially fast and may have been expensive back in the day and still arguably expensive now, but it's a rare car and it's only going to go up in value. I also like the fact that it doesn't look too leery or over the top, and the truth is, you don't have to drive it hard everywhere to get all the enjoyment out of it, because most of the time I've been smiling in this car is each time I've lifted my foot off the accelerator. That exhaust noise, it just sounds so happy.
So, for a car that didn't sell very well in the UK 20 years ago, and a car you'd struggle to find 20 years later, it still looks, drives, and sounds fantastic. Even though it may not be extremely powerful, it's a car that's been developed to feel special and unique, and most importantly, to be memorable.